Would you say the average woman is physically weaker than an average man?
Yeah,
Okay, so women are inherently weaker, right?
sure, yeah.
Wouldn't that inherently apply we don't have to abide, we shouldn't be held to the same standards or same rules?
Like, on what? Like, I don't know what. I don't know how this relates to, like, whatever the fuck we were talking about right now.
Like,
Like,
do you think, because like I've personally done this, is like if you're sleeping with a woman and halfway through they're not into it, they change their mind, right? Don't you think I'm entitled to keep going because as a man, that's my advantage in life?
no.
So you would
You're
consider that?
saying you should have the right to rape women because you're stronger.
I don't even believe in the word rape. I don't think rape exists.
The shocking exchange you just heard was from someone debating vegan gains back in May of this year, for which I'll leave the link to below. But what will be an uncomfortable truth for some of you watching is that the logic that guy used is actually exactly the same logic used in a very, very common argument we vegans hear all the time. I'm talking, of course, about the particularly entitled excuse for continuing to oppress animals that goes along the lines of humans are at the top of the food chain, so we can eat what we want. And I'm going to introduce many of you now to the exact style of logic that is used in both that argument and the argument that men should be able to rape women because men have evolved to be stronger. It's called might makes right logic. So what is a might makes right argument? How does it work? A might makes right argument essentially adheres to the idea that it's morally okay for you to do something because you are in a position of power over the victim. Unfortunately, however, someone who is so entitled as to use might makes right logic will often not see the victim as a victim, rather as an unfortunate cog in the evolutionary process who just so happened to be born as the smaller dog, so to speak, in this dog-eat-dog world. This utterly disgusting sense of entitlement has been one of the main underlying causes of all of the largest injustices throughout history. It was the natural order of things for black people to serve white people, because blacks did not have the same economic might as whites. Colonialism was a natural right, because if those countries that got invaded had the power to be able to fight back and overpower their colonizer, then that's the way it would be. Women shouldn't be able to vote or be allowed to refuse sex, because as men have evolved to be stronger, this makes them the ones who are in charge. And of course now, in the largest act of might makes right logic ever witnessed in history, humans have quote unquote dominion over animals because we're at the top of the food chain, so we can just do whatever the fuck we want with them because hey, we just so happen to be born into the most powerful and dominant species on the planet. For those of you entitled enough to have any of these mindsets, the truth you need to acknowledge is that might has never equaled right. If anything, the argument should be that if someone is within your power, such as one of the billions of innocent, harmless, non-human animals who are massacred by our species every week, your obligation should be to protect them. Shouldn't that be what dominion actually means? After all, why rule the world with an iron fist when we could rule the world with love and peace? Since going vegan and undoing my own might makes right brainwashing, I've always seen we're at the top of the food chain so we can eat what we want as an argument to not eat animals, not an argument to eat them. After all, if you have the privilege of choosing between peace and violence every time you have a meal, then why the fuck would you choose the latter? If I'm more powerful than a lamb, why would I even want to use my power over them, to harm them, when I can instead help them? To dominate them, rather than act as a benevolent steward of this earth who wants to appease suffering, just makes no sense to me. Deep down, people know that might makes right logic is wrong. It's why the school bully is told to pick on someone your own size, and fathers raise their sons to never, under any circumstances, hit a woman. It's why paedophiles are the ones who get the worst beatings in prison, even though the guys doing the beating are immoral criminals themselves. For even in the mind of the most savage of murderers, the idea of committing such depraved evil to a child is a step too far. Why then, as a species, are we continuing to commit such grotesque acts of violence upon the most innocent and undeserving beings on the planet, and justifying it due to our relative position of power, just like the world's worst slave masters, rapists, and colonizers in history? For a great dramatisation that depicts an alternate reality where rape is considered the natural order of things and where might towards women makes right, I recommend the short film Norm, a movie with an animal rights message which I'll link in the description below. Thanks for watching, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, if you value my content and my activism and wish to support my work, please consider joining my Patreon team where you'll get exclusive access to Patreon only podcasts and other benefits depending on your level of support. Until next time.